Hey guys, welcome back to Matt Money. Welcome back to another episode. It's your boy, Uncle Matt. So today we're going to be talking through how to set up your account in Fidelity for options trading. And if you guys aren't really familiar with options, it's a really neat way to be able to utilize leverage, to hedge your bets, and also to really get some additional income if you kind of want to sell like insurance and kind of get that additional income coming in through the portfolio. So it's exactly like stocks. It just you can really utilize them to do whatever you want to do, they're really unique tools. And we have a lot more information about it if you go to passiveincomeeducator.com. Give you like 5 to 10 different courses as soon as you sign up. If you guys are interested, there's like an hour and a half long class that kind of walks through some options basics, as well as kind of talks through what you might be looking for and how you can utilize options either for leverage, for insurance purposes, to get some additional income, and to hedge some of your bets if that's what you're interested in. But today we're going to be talking specifically about how to get your account set up for options trading. So first and foremost, before we actually jump into, say, looking at and executing a trade, we obviously want to go to account features, because obviously if you haven't set up options trading on your account yet, you're going to have to need to do that. So you obviously have a bunch of different options here. So you would go up to accounts and trading, you go to account features, and then this is what would show up under account features. So you have payments and transfers, brokerage and trading, beneficiaries, authorized access, and all that jazz. Obviously, we want to go into the brokerage and trading aspect of things because you want to be able to add some things to your account. So if you haven't already done so, you're probably going to end up having to add margin to your account. Not to say that you're going to want to use it, but I think that this really is allowing you to kind of make some, I guess, a little bit more risky opportunities within your portfolio. And not to say that you will use the margin in the portfolio, but I think it's necessary. If you end up encountering options within the portfolio, you're going to end up needing to do that. So immediately what you're going to come up to is a bunch of different accounts that you might have. So you have obviously your individual accounts, your IRA accounts as well. And basically what it is it has all the different accounts. I have a lot of accounts because obviously I have separations into what exactly each account is particularly for. Obviously, I have my traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs for retirement, and my individual accounts. One is the YouTube Moolah portfolio, obviously for where I make my YouTube money. I reinvest that back into the portfolio, and I just separate that out so you guys can see. But also I have my individual account where I have the majority of my money. And I was kind of wanting to put and have a separate account for options trading, specifically for covered cash secured puts. But turns out you can't have more than one margin account here in Fidelity. So it was a little bit interesting. So what I have here at the moment, you can see uncovered writing of equity options and uncovered writing of straddles, combination of equities, what have you. But you would obviously start off with the not enabled. So you would have to end up just clicking on this. And of course, I'm going to have a lot of information here blocked out for you guys. So hopefully you guys bear with me as some of the information is blocked out. But it asks you some questions like, are you married, number of dependents, how many years you've been stock trading, options trading, index trading, how many trades do you do per month. And I think that this is mostly just for Fidelity to eliminate any sort of risk, filter through some stuff. I've never gotten denied initially. I think I might have gotten denied just because I was so new, my account was so new. But now that I'm like 8 years in, I can switch to and from, relatively easily. So let's just put some quick information in here, just so that we kind of are able to really just filter through some of this material. And once you go through that, it'll ask you a little bit about employee information. Do you have anybody that has inside ownership in shares? And then it's going to ask you specifically about your tolerance of risk in the portfolio and what exactly you're looking for. So when you're actually looking for options, there's obviously a bunch of different, I guess, ways that you can use options, some of which are covered call writing, which is obviously if you have 100 shares, you can use and use those as collateral to generate some additional income from the portfolio, all the way to having naked calls or having cash secured puts or just naked puts, even if you would like to do that. And so all those is underneath different risk tolerance. Low obviously is utilizing shares that you already own, so you don't have to come out of pocket for that. And so there's no real kind of magical, I guess, opportunity for you to have to pay like $100,000 out of nowhere, and it puts a lot of less liability on you as well as Fidelity. Whereas you go all the way to high, most aggressive, that means you can use uncovered writing of index options. So you don't necessarily need to have the 100 shares to be able to write calls at that point. You can write naked calls and say, you know what, I just want to generate income off of my margin account. You can do the same for puts as well. And so it's all very dependent on what you want to do. I would suggest, if you haven't done any calls before or done any options as a whole, I would stick with levels 1 and 2 just because it allows you to get kind of eased up and you don't screw anything up, because if you do screw up in options, you can owe way more than 100%. So options can sometimes go in the opposite direction by thousands of percent. And so that might mean that you end up having to pay thousands of percent out of pocket if you accidentally click the wrong button and execute a trade that you didn't necessarily know. So just like shorting a stock, if you don't know what you're doing, you can end up with a huge risk on your hands here. So before you kind of do off in anything, obviously you kind of want to know what you're doing. You can learn a little bit more about that if you go to Passive Income Educator and you sign up. We have some courses on that. You give you, I guess, a little bit of a rundown on that. But I would stick with either 1 or 2. I've kind of gotten to the point now where I want to write some cash secured puts and also sometimes use my margin to be able to write cash secured puts as well. So even though they're not necessarily cash secured, they are secured because I have that margin. So I'll be like, you know what, I can use $5,000 for this, and I would like to buy $5,000 worth of X stock if it drops to a certain amount. And I can easily just move that money from, let's say, a savings account where I have $5,000 sitting there. And so, yeah, it might be there for a day where, I might have to use a margin account there for $5,000, but within a day, the money would be transferred over and, I have it as where it is. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of help there. I've already gotten this kind of set up, but what ends up happening is once you click next, they'll review your request for a couple days, and then you have to agree upon some terms and conditions. So make sure you do that and go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do it actually as well. So you're just going to review all your information that you put in here. And so I will confirm that. And then it has options agreements that you kind of have to agree to, look through, and then you have to click by checking here and apply. So I've already done all this. It would basically just be me doing the same thing. So I will go ahead and hit exit. But as soon as you actually do that, and this is where it might require a little bit more work on your part to understand exactly how you need to actually go about doing options trading, is you have to have which account you actually have. So you obviously have to go through approval. Once you have approval, it makes it a little bit easier to then go ahead and do some trading. And let's just go and do a quick thing here. Okay. Now let's just go ahead and do some options trading. So you guys might be familiar with this a little bit. So in order to execute, you can see I already did one here for Apple. I did a cash secured put here for Apple. Let's just do a quick example for what's everyone's favorite stock nowadays, Tesla. So let's just do a quick one for Tesla here. And what we'll say is we want to sell because we want to get some premium from people. And what we're going to do is we're going to sell a cash secured put, or in this case, a margin put for me. And what we're going to say is in the next 4 or 5 days, we want to be able to say if the stock goes down to 300, we want to be able to buy that stock for 300 for a put. So what that basically means is the stock is currently trading at about 400 and some dollars a share. I think it's like 450 last time I checked, 449, sorry. And what ends up happening is I'm basically saying by Friday here, if it goes down to $300, I will buy 100 shares at $300 a share. So $30,000 worth of Tesla stock. And based off of this commitment, somebody will pay me either 110 cents per share or $1.10 per share to $1.12 per share. And since I'm buying 100 shares, this would then be multiplied by 100. So it's $110 to $112 where I would get to make this obligation. And obviously, if by, say, Friday time frame, Battery Day ends up being a huge hit and the shares go up to $500, I won't be able to execute this trade. It'll be, basically worthless. But at the end of the day, I still got my premium coming into the account of $110 or $112, depending on whatever I sell it for that time. So you could also, have this go out for many more moons, right? So if I wanted to have it out to January 2023, I'd be able to collect $116. But you have to keep in mind that you have to have $30,000 worth of capital locked up for that long. So you have $30,000 worth of capital, and you end up walking away with $11,000 in premium. But at the same time, if the company goes bankrupt, you still have to buy it for $300 a share by 2023. So there is some interesting kind of ways that you can utilize options here. This is one way that you can utilize options to generate income. So you have $30,000 on the sidelines. You just want to generate a little bit more income kind of coming through the portfolio. That ends up being a pretty decent premium if you think about it. You're able to do this 3-4 times a month. Off of $30,000. Let's just say, just looking at it from this perspective, you're able to do it for just this time alone. That's 0.3, 0.4%. And if you're able to say do that, let's say 40 times a year, you're going to be looking at about a 14 to 15% return on your money every single year off that $30,000. Now, of course, the price might go up, go down, but if you kind of stay within that range of 300, let's say, you're going to be able to return about 14-15%. And that's obviously a lot better of a return than what the banks are currently giving you. Like, for example, my personal savings at Amex right now, as of late September 2020, they're paying about 0.8%. So just a quick overview for you guys to understand how you can kind of enter into options agreement within Fidelity, as well as kind of set up a trade for you guys just quickly. I've actually thought about doing this, but I'm waiting for Battery Day tomorrow. If Battery Day ends up either positive or negative, then I will adjust my strategy appropriately and do some cash secured puts here for Tesla. But you can see I already did one for Apple here, and I did a couple others as well for Facebook, which I actually closed out for about a 50% profit, and hopefully be able to do some more in the future. So anyway, guys, I will talk to you guys in the next video. Hope this one helps, and cheers. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention it. I did mention it twice already, but if you guys would like to know a little bit more about options, go to passiveincomeeducator.com. I'll leave a link in the description, and we'll see you guys there. Cheers.